In today's video, I am going to show you which NPCs and bosses to grind in Blox fruits, and which fruits to use while grinding. Make sure to like and subscribe. Enjoy! When it comes to grinding in the first sea, you may not expect the pirates to be a good NPC to grind. Even though they are level 35 and don't give a lot of money or XP, they are very close to the quest giver, making it a convenient option for quests. Moving on to the bosses, I'd say the best one for the first sea to grind is the Vice Admiral. Not only does he give 15,000 a quest, which is kind of broken for a boss, gives a decent amount of XP and making it a very convenient option for grinding. The second best boss to fight in the first sea is probably the mob leader, but you may be thinking, it doesn't have a quest, so how is it useful? It's because it may not give a lot of money or XP, but it's insane for bounty farming, and this is very useful for the Saber V2. Now moving on to the Shanks boss. This boss is not as OP as the two, but it is a pretty good way to get bounty and a decent amount of money. It gives 10,000 per kill, but if you have the double money game pass, it skyrockets to 20,000, which is a pretty good amount for a boss without a quest. I would recommend this boss if you have no others. I would say the best fruits for grinding in the first sea would be Flame, Ice, Light, and Buddha. Moving on to the second sea. I would say the two best NPCs for grinding in the second sea is the Mercenaries and the Sworn Pirates. The Mercenaries are a good NPC to grind in the second sea because they are kind of far from the quest giver, but they give a decent amount of money and XP, which is good for beginners. I would choose the Swan Pirates as the best one to grind in the second sea, is because it's even closer to the quest giver, and not only is it pretty good for beginners, but it gives a decent amount of money and XP as well, making it a good NPC to grind in the second sea. The best boss to grind in the second sea is the Smoke Admiral. Although the spawn time is like 20 minutes, it does give $20,000 a quest, which is very good for a boss that level. It is pretty easy to beat, although it can blind you sometimes with the smoke. Keeping good distance can beat the boss. I would say the best fruits to grind with in the second sea is Awakened Flame, Ice, Light, and then Unawakened or Awakened Buddha. Now moving on to the third sea. There are three good NPCs to grind in the third sea, but one I want to talk about today is the Demonic Soul. This one has a good quest for money and XP. Not only that, but it drops bones, which can be used to get all kinds of buffs at the Death King shop. They are pretty low level and are easy to beat. This is why I prefer these NPCs. Another good NPC for grinding in the third sea is the Cookie Crafters. Although they are very tough to beat, and are level 2,300, but they do give a decent amount of money and XP, and are very close together and the quest giver, which is very convenient for a long-term grind. The final NPC I want to talk about is the Isle Champions. They do even more damage than the Cookie Crafters, but are very good for money and XP. They are very close together, and are decently close to the quest giver, making it very essential for grinding. There are a lot of bosses I want to talk about in the third sea, but I want to talk about Stone first. His quest gives 25,000 and a decent amount of XP. He is very easy to beat because his attacks are mostly ranged and very up close. So the main strategy for beating this boss is to stay far away and use projectiles to beat him. The second boss I want to talk about is the Kilo Admiral, and it does give a decent amount of money and XP, and mostly staying away is the strategy to go. It is like the stone, but with a lot more AoE and range. For XP grinding in the third sea, I would recommend the Longma boss because its XP drop seems to be greater than the Cake Queen's. Not only that, but Longma has a very low HP count, but a high damage count, which makes it a easy grind for Buddha users and more. Now for Cake Queen, we know it is a very popular option for grinding, which is why I made it in today's video. However, I would actually prefer Stone in some cases over Cake Queen, because Cake Queen is very tanky, as of Stone is not as tanky and easier attacks to dodge, which is why I would sometimes prefer Stone over Cake Queen for money and other purposes. For the third C, I would recommend 4 fruits for both grinding and PvP in this case. Awakened Ice, Love, Buddha, and Magma. I hope you enjoyed this video today. Make sure to like and subscribe. Peace out.